So one of the other questions I get a lot is, can I negotiate removing a collection from my account? So we have Andrew here, who is the owner and founder of Heartland Credit Restoration. So what's the answer to that?
First of all, the answer is yes. Okay. Now, the negative is not every collection attorney or agent will agree to that negotiation. They're not required to by law. No differently than Discover Card advertises some payment forgiveness if you've been with them for a certain amount of time, and all of a sudden, if you pop a late, that they'll wipe that late simply because of their relationship basically they have with you. And that's kind of what you're trying to create. The risk that the consumer doesn't understand is that collections are based off the date of last activity, Jordan, not the payment amount. So once a collection's filed, that date of last activity, that date stamping is really what the algorithm looks at. And so the confusion steps in. So let's say I owe you, Jordan, and I didn't pay you 3 years ago, okay? So when I didn't pay you, if you filed a collection against me, that collection would have been date stamped 3 years ago. Now there'd be a balance, so I still owe you, and that matters to me and you because that's physical dollars. But to the algorithm, it doesn't really look at whether I owe you $10 or $1,000 or $10,000 because it doesn't really put any weight bearing towards the actual payoff or the payment. What it's looking at is that date stamp. So the tough part is that when you have a collection that's say 3 years old, and now today I call you and I say, hey, Jordan, remember 3 years ago I didn't pay you, I'm really sorry, whatever. The fact of the matter is if I simply pay you today and everything goes by the book, you're going to zero out whatever that balance was, but you're going to change that date of last activity from when you originally filed it 3 years ago to today. Well, the algorithm, that if I go look at my credit tomorrow, I'm going to see a significant drop because that collection's going to appear brand new, and a new negative affects your credit much more derogatively than, say, a late payment you had 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where we kind of invented the concept of pay for deletion at Heartland Credit. It really is where, hey, Jordan, I owe you. I want to pay you, but I have to be strategic because I understand the credit score. Mm-hmm. The general consumer doesn't have, phenomenal detail of the credit score, but in their brain, they think, hey, if I pay somebody, that's good. The problem is that when it becomes collection accounts, if they're more than 6 months old, that account has actually started to age where it's not as negative as it once was. Now, it's never going to turn into a positive. Okay,
Yep.
So addressing it is important, but you have to be very strategic, which is why if you are going to call and try to pay off a collection, you should absolutely see if they'll be willing to delete in exchange for whether it be full payoff or, some settled for less amount. Just in the fact that otherwise it will be punitive to your credit. I mean, that is just the fact. When a collection is paid, they update the date of last activity. That date is what matters. That's what the credit scores are looking at, not the amount. And then you'll recoup, right? It's almost like 2 or 3 months. That date will start to drop back down a little bit, and you'll see the score start to go up. But you wouldn't believe how many clients will call me and say, "Guys, I went through a tough patch in my life. I had a half a dozen collections, and now I've been paying those off for 11 or 6 months, and my credit keeps going down." Right, because you keep re-aging all of your negatives.
It's good to know how to navigate that, right? So.
Yep. And if they ever have questions, they can certainly call. We can try to help, steer them down the path. But it is a little bit frustrating that it's punitive to do the right thing. It's kind of the one part of the algorithm I'm not super in agreement with.
Yeah. So be smart about it and call somebody that knows how to navigate it, right?
Absolutely.